And we are live. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Blue Abroad show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. 7 p.m., 7:02 to be exact, 28th of April, 2025. I've got Mr. Blue Bagger's Edge with me, special guest. Hello, mate. Welcome back.
Thank you, Tez. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to watch your content. So to be a part of it is even more of a pleasure, mate. So thank you.
Oh, mate, get to come on after a win as well. It's happy days.
Bonus. Absolutely.
I mean, I had you booked in for a few weeks, so I wasn't sure how it was going to go. It was a bit of a slippery slope.
Yeah, I think it was it the North game might have been potentially coming off the back of that win, and I was like, yes. And then it didn't quite line up, and we're here though after another win. So maybe should have extended it off a little bit longer. Maybe just getting win after win.
I'll take it, mate. I'll take it. If we beat the Crows, you're back again. All right, deal.
See how we go. We'll take that for sure.
I want to start the show before we get into absolutely anything. I do want to take a moment to send some love and condolences because we did lose a fan favorite for those who watched the Buzz play. Peter Bosisto, unfortunately, he passed away yesterday, and I wanted to spend just a few moments acknowledging that. We didn't get to watch him play. I actually received a message today, which was really interesting, and it prompted me to start the show tonight and ask those of you who are watching the question. So the message I received about him was sad day for us old guys, childhood hero in Buzz passed. He played like Kerno on Heat, a freak show every week. So I wanted to start by asking those of you who watched him play, what was he like as a player? What were your memories of him as a Carlton player? Mate, do you have any stories, family members that spoke about him or anything like that?
No, I don't really, obviously, like yourself, Tez, I'm not quite of the maturity to have seen him live, but hearing it of him being one of Carlton's greats and the high leaping style that he had, taking those big marks like Bosisto, like the commentary that would ring true. The only recollection I have is when I was actually working at the club back in 2018, and going through all those highlights and stuff, and he was one of those guys that formed a part of Carlton's history and one of the well-known legends of the club. So it is a sad day to see a legend like this pass, and it always comes to pass at some stage or another. But it's probably a good time to reflect upon a great part of our history that was very successful. But I'm sure my father-in-law, he's a big Baggers man as well, he probably has a few memories, would have watched him live as well. So he's actually watching at the moment, so he might have some comments to send through. But a true legend from what I hear.
Yeah. It's always interesting hearing about players who I wasn't even born or just wasn't around when they were playing, and just getting a sense of the memories that people have of them. J Bag is here. I was there as a 7-year-old in the old Hawthorn stand, seeing his rise to the clouds and take Mark of the Year. I wasn't aware that he had Mark of the Year, Goal of the Year, and a flag. That's quite some
trifecta.
It's quite some feat. The complete player. He would get the turnstiles moving. Charlie on the Roys is apt. That's quite the description, because Charlie's a freak.
Yeah, I know exactly, because we were accustomed to Charlie, and he can do absolutely everything, kick goals from the smallest of margins. So yeah, to hear someone even better than Charlie, geez, imagine that.
Yeah. So we will obviously send condolences to the family. I'm sure lots of you have great memories of him, and I think it just goes to show that the connection that the fans have to the players and why we get so passionate, because even when they pass, I think it's felt throughout the fan base. So we'll start the show there, and then we'll continue the show and do it in good spirits. And I'm glad that we're doing this after a win, because we're about 24 hours removed from, a little bit over, from the final siren of round 7. So why don't we start by talking about what happened yesterday? We'll get your thoughts, Damon, and we'll get those of you in the chat. What was your summary of round 7?
Well, it was just a continuation of what we saw against North Melbourne, which when I put together my preview of this game, that was the one thing that I was asking for, was just continuity, consistency, and what we've all been asking for, I think, across 2025. But to see it finally be put into action. I mean, what we saw against West Coast was a win, was a dirty win, and we still had deficiencies in our game. North Melbourne, I think, was the first time in 2025 that we actually looked like, what we expected to see from the get-go. And yeah, for that to continue into the game on the weekend was incredible. But the big thing, I think, was the pressure, which continued, getting back to basics. And I was thinking about it earlier, that I don't know, that we almost were taught a lesson in a funny sense by Richmond back in round 1, like a young team just doing the basics, don't have to be stock, to the high heels with talent as such, but just having pressure. And that's, I think, what we've learned across the past couple of weeks heading into the Geelong game, was just hunt in packs, don't be silly, and playing for each other. I think that was a big thing. But there's a whole host of players that no doubt we'll run through that stood out. But for me as well, I mean, the defense has been a highlight across the season to date. That continued, of course, but to have the return of H was a big thing. Charlie as well. And I think it's been a fair while, I think, that we've had all of TDK, H, and Kerno playing in the one team, and Sauce as well. I'd like to see if anyone has the stat there, but I think it dates back to maybe 2023 it would have been sometime. But yeah, it was us, I think, at the height of what we can produce on a given day, when we can all just work in unison. And yeah, we won it through the middle, won it in defense, and then up forward was refreshing as well, because that's been a big deficiency in our game. And it was just flawless. And the other big thing I think that really did impress was when we were challenged, especially in the second half, which it's obviously been a big chink in our armor. But I think it was like the first 2 goals of the third quarter, potentially the first 2 goals of the last quarter, where we otherwise would have probably gone to water, and we still kicked back, responded, and obviously got the win ultimately.
Yeah. We just did the rating show with Pommy and, went through all the roles, and I think we've seen the evolution of the intricacies within each line. So we've got in the back line, the addition of Silvani and how he's settled down there, the roles of McGovern and Haynes and how they've sort of alternated and how they've seemingly settled. Cowan's come in and out of that back line. Carroll's come in and out of that back line. Sard has played deep. He's played a little bit higher up the ground over the last few weeks. So some changes there. And then there's the midfield, which seems to be evolving on the fly. While she's gone from very much an inside game to a little bit more of a balance with the outside game. You got Hewitt and Chera, who are now really owning that midfield and doing the grunt work. And then Cripps over the last few weeks in particular seems to be timing his runs as to when he goes in there. And after a big Carlton win, there's always hyperbole. And my hyperbole of the week was that Cripps played a Selwood-like game. He set the tone early, took a back seat, and then later in the game came back into it and stepped up. And I think we've obviously also seen that in the forward line. Players have come and gone. Just a matter of hopefully now getting some continuity. It doesn't help when you lose players nearly every week through injury, or we'll talk about suspension shortly. But yeah, it was pleasing. I think Aaron just wrote in here that the MCG was rocking. Like it was. There was a real Carlton atmosphere about yesterday.
And Hewitt spoke post-match, I should say, as well about the noise, especially getting around H, which was a great thing. Like there was a bit of play where he was kicking for goal in the pocket near where my reserve seat is. I was there with my father-in-law, and we all got around him, just everyone cheering, chanting. And Hewitt made comment on that, but he was like, with the crowd number, it was like, was it 67,000 or something? He said it sounded like and felt like it was a 90,000 plus crowd, such was the noise and energy and atmosphere. So it just reminds us all, like, the impact that we can have as fans, as a supporter base, to get behind the boys from week to week, and how crucial it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we needed it in Melbourne. We had a nice win against North, a dominant win, but there was always that question mark around them and whether that's right or wrong. It is what it is. But I mean, obviously Geelong draws more respect than North Melbourne, and that's earned. So I think also being back at the MCG, there's something about it. There's a soul to the MCG that Marvel just doesn't have. And it was also, I did make comment before the game. I didn't say it online anywhere, but did you know that on the 30th of September 1995, it was 18 degrees and cloudy?
Oh, there you go. Bit of well, it wouldn't be numerology. It'd be just a very like a coincidence of such. Yeah.
Just a coincidence. And then I checked
Yeah.
the weather when I got on the train to go to the G, and it was 18 degrees and cloudy.
Ooh.
So,
nice omen. That's the word.
yeah,
Omen.
it's also called, they call it hopium these days.
Opium, yeah. Well, it worked. Well, if it rings true, if it gets the results, we'll stick by it.
Yep, exactly right. As you can tell, it's, as a Carlton supporter, we've been, I don't know, how have you felt from the start of the season? I know for me, I definitely saw disconnection and signs of a real fracture. And like, I've seen the team when they're all on the same page, and I was watching them in the first month thinking something's wrong, something has fractured them. And I mean, I'm seeing it different now. Like, how were you and how are you now with what you see from the team?
Yeah, well, like watching your reviews from round by round, it was very similar to myself, where at the start it was like just disbelief, the loss against Richmond. And I was like, okay, well, that's a blip, an early blip on the radar that we weren't expecting, and surely we'll bounce back after that. And then the tide didn't turn, and it looked as though things were getting worse and worse. And it was obvious that the players were lacking confidence, belief, everything else. And loss after loss, I think, probably took them by surprise as well. And they just dropped their heads. The skill errors that we saw, which was so uncharacteristic from, otherwise skillful players as well in our team, which was very strange. But as a supporter, I was very much like yourself. It was kind of that, I kind of had to almost mentally and emotionally disconnect, because it was like so frustrating. And I'm like, is it going to be one of those seasons where like this is the end, like the height of 2023 was kind of where we've peaked, and now we're just going to regress from there? Like, is this it? And then, I think it was probably great timing that we've faced, a couple of minnows in West Coast and North, because it's allowed us to get back to basics and work on what has sort of built these victories, which is just getting back to the pressure rating side of things, tackling pressure, everything else. And I think with that has built back that confidence that we've just lacked, and has eroded away, I think, over time, over the early parts of the season. But it's just, it was disheartening. Now it's heartening to see the response from the playing group. And I remember, like, even coming on the lives and stuff as well, people were being so critical and saying that, maybe the players aren't good enough. And, depth has always been an issue. But I always think back, like 2023, we have the same core playing group. Like, you don't just lose talent overnight or over the space of a season and a bit. Like, that's always there. So it's obvious that it was just confidence. It was just, everything else, like belief. So yeah, it's been good to see. It's been a bloody roller coaster, but that's Carlton for you, isn't it?
Well, we're only 7 games in.
Yeah,
we've gone through a full meltdown, like full meltdown. And yeah, you just get, I just get the feeling that just a couple more wins, and then I think it can actually go the other end, and it can ignite. And if we can find the momentum where the fans and the club were all on the same page like we were on yesterday, it's going to be hard to stop this thing, because they play it's not pretty, it's not sexy, it's not clean, and it's not very efficient on the offensive end. It's, dare I say it, it's blue collar hard work. That's what it is. It's laborious. But I've been asking about the identity and questioning the identity. Like, what is it all about? Like, what made Carlton Carlton? And I think performances like the last few weeks, where they've been doing it the hard way and doing it by defending first and then earning the right to attack and going from there. Maybe that's a window into what the identity of how Carlton plays, and maybe this is just us. I think a lot of us can look at, oh, well, we should be like Hawthorn, the way they move the ball, or the Crows. It's like, well, no, we play the way we play. This is Carlton.
Yep, exactly. I think that the one pleasing thing that in terms of not the transition, but the way that the team has kind of, I guess, developed, maybe even just the coaching side of things as well, that it's kind of, to me, it's reflective of what we went through in the early part of 2023, where we were so one-dimensional, kicking down the line. We weren't kicking inside forward 50 efficiently enough. They weren't leading to enough scoring opportunities. And when we actually did have scoring opportunities, they were, kicked tight into the pocket. So the percentage chance of actually converting to a goal is quite low. And, we saw a lot of those games which were more behind than goals kicked and everything. And it feels as though there's a little bit of a, parallel to that, in a sense that we're kind of almost trying to find our feet. Who knows why? Are we trying to implement a different style all over? Who knows? But it just seems as though we're kind of playing with a bit more dare at times now. We're kind of, when we're switching the ball, we're not just holding the ball and, making it absolutely redundant in the switch happening. We're switching the ball, we're playing quick, we're running to positions, we're providing options, where a lot of the time, especially in the early part of the season, everyone was just stagnant. The ball transitioning out of defense. It's like, what do you do? Just run, provide options. Everyone just standing in the spot next to their opponent. So yeah, there's pleasing signs that are coming out of this, round by round. So just hopefully it continues.
Yeah. Where were you yesterday for the game?
So I am in. So it's near the pocket of, I don't know which side of the ground it is, but reserve seat there, and usually have our usuals around us, which is good to see. We normally have a couple of stragglers make their way in from the opposition side of things. Don't know how they get in, but they do. Didn't this time, which was good. It also happens probably against Richmond, Essendon, sides that you really love that happening with. But yeah, it was just a day that, and I know, like you've spoken about it with Pommy, especially, Tez, with regards to the club harping on about the, success and, history and everything else. But, we obviously had to do that because it was the anniversary, 1995 and whatnot. But yeah, it was good. It was good. We almost channeled, like, the old crew. And it was good to see the oldies out there as well. Like, I didn't really have a chance to see many of them play because I wasn't old enough, but to see the likes of Sticks out there, and Andy Mackay, stuff like that, it was just like the old school guys as well. So that was good to see. I'm sure the older folk would have appreciated that as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for a lot of people, that's one of the greatest days of their life. So yeah, my thing has always been the baseline for if I've ever criticized the past is just because I mean, in my view, we should continue to build on the legacy, and the way to honor those guys from the 1995 Premiership side was to, first of all, beat Geelong yesterday, play in a way that respected and honored them, and then go one better and win a flag. Like, that's how you show true honor and respect to the legacy, is you continue it on. That's my view anyway.
Yep. No, it's totally true. And there's no use harping back to what has happened if you're not going to try and emulate. Like, it's just worthless. Like, you're celebrating what's happened, but you have to see what they did and emulate that, and go forth, as you said, and try and do the same.
Mm-hmm. Did you happen to watch Chris Scott's press conference?
No, I missed that. I watched Bossies, but I did hear. What was it? It was, he made a comment. What was it? It's slipped my mind now. I can't recall, but there was something that was picked out. I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, just a little clip here from the.
I don't like to compare ourselves too much to the rest of the competition, but my observation, watching virtually every game every week, is that every team has had one of those days this year where they just couldn't execute, or it didn't look like us. That's as bad as I've seen us play for a long time.
You're talking about just the air, like clangers, kicks out on the full way the ball was moved.
It's plus. Like, there was a combination of things that added up to a lot. But again, the sometimes you have those days and you hope they're rare and you lose by 70 points. So to Roger's question, I thought we hung in and we gave ourselves the chance to win. But every time we look like drawing level, we make another error. So I think their kind of hustle in and around the ball was really good. That's their game. They support the contest, and I think especially early in the game they were strong there. But gee, we gave them a chance with the way we used the ball, and the way we just sort of failed to put them under pressure. And they've got too many good players to let them play the way they want.
I love Chris Scott. Very rarely do I see him fidgety, rattled, and it actually seeped into the fan base a bit. I don't know if you've seen this video of the Catman having a...
No, I haven't seen that. I know of the Catman, but no, I haven't seen it.
Well, the Catman was blaming something about the weather. Like, there was just this weird sense of unable to handle the loss from Geelong, which it's like, Carlton fans, we will criticize Carlton. I think we're fair. We are hyper passionate when we win. When we lose, we're hypercritical. We call it as it is. We don't sugarcoat it. We call out the shit when it's shit. We get excited when it's good. And I've noticed over the last few weeks, like, oh, it was only West Coast. It was only North. Geelong were a little bit off. Like, hang on a minute. Like,
yeah, credit where it's due.
Yeah, man, we give credit where it's due. I just want to see it coming back our way.
Exactly. That's the one thing I always say is, like, you got to be very critical and, you analyze your own team, but by the same, respect, you're like, well, the team we played, to their credit, we didn't lose the game because we were shit. We also lost the game because they were good. They were better than us. But it seemed as though, like, with the words that he was using there and the way he was phrasing things, he was like dancing around, trying to, like, give us respect and being like, well, Carlton were too good. He did say that, like, we had some good players, but he kind of stopped short of that. And it was just the worst that was it. The worst. Yeah. That was the headline I saw. The worst that we'd played or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
It's very bizarre to me. It was just a very bizarre press conference, and it's just been a very bizarre, conclusion to the round. But whatever, like, it is what it is, and it's a rare one because it happened on a Sunday, 24 hours ago. We're going to talk about it. We talked about it last night. We talked about it today. We're talking about it tonight, and in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's it. We're going to move on to Adelaide. So there's no time to get too caught up in it and go over the top with it. But before we do move on, what were some of the key themes and issues and storylines that emerged from the game yesterday for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, just highlighting individual performances for me. One player who I thought was best on ground. There were so many contributors, which is good. So you've got to pay homage to all of them. But for me, I think the breakout game, and he's been building, mind you, Nick Haynes. Now, I say him because he's been criticised by a lot of Carlton supporters I've seen online. And I know he started the season very, very slowly. But for me, the way he played yesterday, it was prime Nick Haynes, like, channeling his All-Australian form. He won a best and first when he was at the Giants, drifting across, taking those critical intercept marks, pinpoint passing in contested situations. Like, he really did it all. And, the one thing that I love about Haynes is he's such a smart footballer, gets himself in the right positions, to assist his teammates, and almost reads the play before it unfolds, to force either a contest or, drift across and intercept. And he copped a fair bit of criticism, rightly or wrongly, but I thought it was a little bit over the top. And I think it's always hard as well for a player to come into an entirely new team, entirely different system to what they're probably accustomed to at their former team. It's going to take some time for them to acclimatise. They've obviously got the preseason, but I was always expecting him to take a little bit of time to come into it. And what we saw yesterday was what I was hoping to see. And at some stage or another, because he's a quality player, and age aside, he's still a quality intercept defender, and I think he's going to provide a fair bit to us up until we can actually find that player to potentially take his spot when he does eventually move on. But he was one of the more solid contributors across the back six. Like, enough has probably been spoken about Sauce, but, we'll probably should mention him as well. But, Sauce has been, I think, hands down the most consistent player for me anyway, across the season. Like Cripper's been good, albeit Cripper kind of drifted away in the North game, which is a good thing because we didn't, for once, rely on Cripper to win us the game. But Sauce has been incredible. Like to go into an entirely different area of the ground, like he may have had spatterings of, tastings of being in defence at, VFL level, but to go back there full time and just calibrate his game for the defensive mindset, the positioning. And it doesn't seem as though he's lost any speed. That's what I was worried about. Coming off an ACL, he's come back and he's hit the ground running. It's almost like he didn't actually miss a full season of football. So he's obviously another one that has stood out. But I don't know if you're going to mention a bit later, Tez, but Lige and H, it was great to see both of those boys performing in the same game, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to Lige and H in a moment because I think that is a great topic in itself. But just with Haynes, I want to use. We had a Tolls came on last night on the fan cams, and he had actually written out an apology form.
That's brilliant.
For Nick Haynes. So if anybody would like to raise their hand with me who doubted Nick Haynes, if you didn't doubt Nick Haynes, no worries. Just ignore this next minute. If you doubted Nick Haynes and you would like to put your hand up, please raise your hand in the chat with the hand emoji. Mate, I loved the move. And then I think after the first few rounds, I was like, oh no,
yeah,
we've got the end of him. We've got the washed up version of him. But yeah, to play at that, and I don't expect him to play at the level he played at yesterday all season. But shit, he was so good, man.
He was incredible. He was everywhere.
So we'll just raise our hands
going up.
Yeah,
probably
hey,
off
man,
the back of
yeah. We're all about
all in this
accountability
together.
here,
Yeah. The other one I should mention as well, he didn't have as much of an impact yesterday, but I've always been, probably through my stubbornness, I'm a very stubborn supporter, but Corey Durden is someone that I've always hung my hopes on. And I know durability has always been his issue. And I remember back to the West Coast game late last year when he was playing kind of that high half forward role, drifting up onto the wing, his two-way running, and he played an incredible game. And then injured his shoulder, still played on the next weeks and didn't recapture that form. And then playing the West Coast game, and I'm like, again, similar to what you were saying with the temperature, akin to back in 95. That was like Durden playing West Coast, the team that he actually played well against in the previous season, and then had that breakout game. North Melbourne played well again. And I'm like, this is it. But I'm still saying that Durds is our answer to our small forward issues. I'm gonna die on that hill, but I'm hopeful as well because what he's shown so far has been pretty good.
Well, he's one of the few players that I've actually gotten to meet and know, and I've never once ever questioned his mentality, and his care factor for Carlton, and just the way he approaches the game, and just as a human being, like his mentality is just on point. There's no entitlement. There's not a bone of entitlement in him. It's all about hard work, and he plays for something greater than himself, and he's such a humble guy. And I just felt like I still feel like eventually he's going to get the rewards for that. And I guess when he's had so many injury concerns over his career, he just hasn't been able to have a clean run at it. And every time he maybe looks like he's taking a step forward, an injury comes. And so said this to him after his 50th. I'm like, please let your next 150 be consecutive. Because,
yes.
I just think he's got what it takes. No, I don't know if he'll be a superstar, but just a role player, the aggression. So I'm glad that he's had a couple of games now in a row, and it's only 3 games. Hopefully keeps going for the rest of the season and doesn't get injured and stays healthy and dominates, and we start to see some more development. But I'm just happy for him, and maybe that is a good segue for Harry and Elijah, because both had personal issues in a different branch of the personal issue tree. Both returned. Well, Elijah returned last week. You could just tell that his touch wasn't there. Harry returned against the Eagles, and like seriously, like can you what are the odds of him returning and then getting concussed quarter one of the Eagles? So there's that. But they both kicked their first goal in the second quarter, and they both dominate. Really, they were two of the best 4 to 5 players on the ground, maybe.
They were, yeah. Like Lige early on, he was kind of drifting almost because he's kind of that high half forward, but like to drift up to the wing, and he was like pushing back to defense, providing options and get outs and everything else, and then moving forward, kicking a goal and having, set up plays as well, goal assists, all that sort of stuff. Like really classy. There was actually a bit of play. It might have been in the second or third quarter where it was, the goal in tight. Took the ball from Hewitt, snapped around the body, surrounded by like 3 Geelong players. Like that goal he kicked was just raw instinctive talent. Like it was from the tightest of angles. It was really, really good to see. And, shows that he's got confidence. He's straight back into it. And, I guess picking up from where he left off last year, because he, that was arguably a breakout year for him. And 25 disposals, 1 goal, 80% disposal efficiency as well, which is always a bonus. 4 tackles, 15 pressure acts, and 6 score involvements as well. So it really did it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, I don't know if it's just adding personnel into the team that's got them clicking, but yeah, Elijah provides energy. The Harry Mackay story as a whole, I think, provides energy. And the reality is this: when Harry plays and Harry's playing anything close to his best, it's that kind of game yesterday. That is the quintessential Harry Mackay game. A couple of goals, 8 to 10 marks up the ground. We get to dictate the territory battle because of Harry Mackay. There's certain individuals in a team that they're just that good that you have to play them. And, there was a bit of talk about maybe some suggestion like Lewis Young, who was stiff to be dropped because he did a role, but the reality is he was doing Harry's role. So, it was just pleasing. And I think it's also important to not get too sucked into thinking that, okay, everything's just fixed. Like this is a long-term journey now for both guys, I think.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was just so refreshing to see like Harry flying for marks, like almost tunnel vision to the point where like he had Geelong players in front of him, but yet he didn't care, didn't take a backward step, just flying through, taking marks, and he ended with the 12 marks, 3 goals. And yeah, it's kind of what we hope to see from Harry from week to week. But yeah, we kind of have to have that expectation where, and it's hard because I know that, Harry's been dealing with a fair bit across the journey outside of what he's spoken about in recent times. But, it's obvious that he's a confidence player. Like he went through the yips, those issues with kicking, snapping around the body, all that sort of stuff. And, I think yesterday probably reminded us all of what Harry can produce when he's, at full flight, when he's got full confidence. And yeah, like I think it was a great call for him to, for obvious reasons, mental health, it's such a big thing, but to sit out like he did, put his hand up and say, I'm not right. For him, if he was going to persist through that, we wouldn't have got the Harry that we got yesterday. So great call from him, from the club to support him, take the time off, refresh and come back. And yeah, see the Harry that we saw was incredible.
See him with some passion, like actually fist. Like see him throw a little bit, see him give away a free kick for too high, like get a little bit angry,
Yeah. That's that almost like, it was almost like a bit of a Brett Lee, like the old chainsaw when he celebrated. He like got down like almost on his haunches and did the old fist pump, like bang. And I'm like, Jesus, he's up and about. He's feeling it. He's in the moment. So yeah, it was pleasing to see.
There's something about guys that don't usually show their emotion like that. I mean, Harry has done it a couple of times. When he does it, it gets the crowd going a little bit more. I also think George Hewitt is one. Like he's not really a guy that shows too much emotion, but fuck man, he's got like the way that the boys got around him and then the crowd and
He mentioned it, an article written with a few of his quotes there post game, and I don't know if you saw it, Tez, but he was like his teammates were giving him shit because he's normally like he can't kick that distance, and I think that was probably part of it as well. Like when he dobbed it from that distance, he was like, get around me, like this is a rarity. But in that, obviously that moment of the game, the sealer virtually, it was a big lifter.
Yeah, I've been obsessed. Found you know when you find a YouTube channel and it does something and it's got content and you get obsessed with it, like a new toy. I found one. It's called First Use. Are you familiar with it?
First Use, no.
So you remember Jeff White, the ruckman?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I have seen that. Yeah, I've seen it on Twitter. I think I follow him. Yeah, and he goes through, analyzes stoppages and setups and stuff. Yeah.
So he's released today an 18-minute, 37-second video of some of the stoppages from our game yesterday. I want to watch some of it with you all now. I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then I'll link you the video and you can go watch the rest of it in your own time. But it's just something about educational content that I love because, I mean, I'm a student of this game. I don't know the game. I'm a pure student. And so I just wanted to maybe go through a couple of these stoppages with you all and gather some thoughts and watch it from Jeff's lens.
Because of the cut play here making contact with the umpire. So this is the first centre bounce of the game. And just watch Cripper. Love his movement. They end up getting a free kick, and it was a free kick against because of the cut play here making contact with the umpire. But as I've said before, you always get a really good indication of how the team's going to set up in the first centre bounce of the game. So I'll go through you'll see Cripper as a blocker. So he's moving across, bit of movement, shifting. So what they're trying to set up here is they're trying to set up this little dinky hit here. So Cripper wants to make contact with Holmes, push off, and come towards the ball. It's really one of their stocks, standard and great hits. And then what happens is the sweeper in this position comes off as a handball received because Cripper's going away from his goals. So they like to do this one quite a bit. They also like to do the wraparound ones as well, where DeConing drops it back. But this is a really good set play. Like I said, doesn't go their way because Carlton player makes contact with the umpire, but you can see what their setup was to do. It comes through. Great. And I love this by DeConing. He did this quite a bit against Stanley yesterday, is actually going through the ruck. So not trying to, he can jump over him, but you just put him off the centre of balance. It's just great. And then you see Cripper coming at the ball. He's already made separation and coming at it. And it's a great hit. Just a soft little tap. And then because Hewitt made contact with the umpire, it's a free kick against, but you can see that Chera was there to receive off Cripper.
We'll just play one more.
What we'll look at is Akers. So it was either Akers or Hollands that coming up on the half forward line, and the ability to be in a position, a sweeper position, to then be facing their goal. So good patience here from Akers to get a clearance and an inside forward 50. So in that situation, really good. Like you could be in a position to give away a free kick there, but sometimes you can't do anything about it. So really good awareness there from DeConing. I know he's probably trying to plead for a free, but just watch Akers, how he just holds. He's just really balanced, and Walsh does this really, really well as well. The ability not to get sucked into the contest. You need to be aware of your teammates that are in there, and if you're not the first one in there, you've got to have balance to stand out and then be used. So he's just patient, and then you just never know what can happen. But you need that coverage, and then inside forward 50. The other thing to mention.
So I love it. It's something that's just started popping up for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat right now if you guys want to go watch the video. And he's on 1.49k subscribers. And then if you want the link to the YouTube channel, I'm going to put that in there as well. I just think it's brilliant. And he does it for every team, like most games, most teams. So maybe we'll, on the team show this week, we can go through Adelaide and see what we can do. Good stuff.
I like it. Yeah, it's great. Like I'm a big fan of that. Like I love stats. I'm very much like Pommy. I love the analysis side of things, the setups of at stoppages, everything else. So yeah, I'll definitely be diving into that. But it makes a good point as well, where I found as though we've kind of corrected things, but when the ball's moving, the amount of times that I see our players, like multiple players, being sucked into the one guy who's in possession of the footy, and then it's the overlap to like the opposition player who's free, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Oh, we got a message there from Joseph, who I know.
You know Joseph Politani? He sits behind you
I
apparently
do.
at Marvel.
Yes. Yeah, he's one of the regulars, him and his dad, I think. So, yeah, he's always a couple of good fellas behind us, getting around each other, always good yarns and stuff pre-game and in-game. Yeah, passionate baggers.
Love that. I know I said that we were going to move on from the Geelong game, but one more. Do you have an unsung hero? The guy whose role just didn't get spoken about enough from yesterday?
Unsung hero.
I think there's a clear answer to this, by the way. So it's a loaded question.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would have said Nick Haynes, but just in context of the amount of shit he's been copying. But Fogarty, I think for me, is probably one player that I would name, because I've been, and I'll be that person to put my hand up, that I've been actually very, very critical of him in recent games.
That's looping.
Sorry, that's the train departing or arriving at the station. Is that the Teague train? It's gone. It's already departed the station.
Oh, that derailed, mate. That thing's in the fucking water, deep down in the bottom of the fucking ocean.
That's exactly right. But yeah, Fogarty, like for me, I actually thought, and when I spoke about the when I uploaded my preview video to this game, I was like, I'm surprised that Fogarty didn't make way. We had like 5 small forwards, and I'm like, is that 1 or 2 small forwards too many? I know they all performed a role to some degree against North Melbourne, but Fogarty was the sort of the odd one out who didn't really do too much, hasn't been in the best form across the season to date. And even like, I know he hasn't really been impacting the scoreboard, but he is in there more so for his, his pressure acts and tackling everything else, but didn't really see the height of what he can produce and what we know he can produce. And yesterday, it's like he heard me and slapped me square in the face. And he's like, you know what? Here, watch me. And multiple moments where like, he obviously kicked a couple of good goals and goal assists as well, which came via his tackling pressure inside the forward 50. So just tip of the cap to Fog Dog. He looked really good.
That is exactly where I was trying to go with that. So nailed
it.
it.
You can see on the same page.
Yeah. Now, take a look at this, mate. I'm literally going to go frame by frame. This was given a week. So we're going to go frame by frame. So hang on. Am I being one-eyed by saying that there's just a genuine initiation there from both players at a stoppage? Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So Ches, okay, he's gone a little high. Would I be wrong in saying that? He's gone a little high there?
Yeah, a little high. Yep, probably deserves a free kick, I'd say.
A reportable offence high or just a free kick high?
It's
like, what are we doing here?
It makes no sense. I mean, players do this all the time at stoppages. They just do it to put them off their game, push them off balance, all that sort of stuff. But you can see that like Bose actually steps forward and lowers his body. So Ches stays upright, intends to push him in the chest, but because Bose bends down, he obviously cops him high. But like even then, it's like obviously there's intent. Like the intent there is not to injure, to hurt, or anything, but the degree of the hit, that's got to be like lowest of low impacts. Like didn't go off, played on the rest of the game. It's just a free kick, nothing more. A fine if you want to give it that at most.
Is this so? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm happy to be told I'm wrong here. Is that so? He's moving. So is that Jack Bose that he's got?
Yep.
So Jack Bose moves his head right. It looks left on our end, right? But then he grabs his right side of his face when it looks like he got hit on his left side of his face. Well, what's going on here?
Yeah, and like I think there's a difference where like if you're because guys have been rubbed out in the past. Yeah, look at him, just goes down like a sack of the proverbial. But it's like guys that, are contesting, a mark or whatever. If they go for a spoil and you've got a fist, that's accidental, but guys still get rubbed out. This is like just an open hand double push. He's copped him in the face by accident. He actually puts his hand up like, oh shit, like I didn't realize I was going to do that. I'm so sorry. Like Ches doesn't have a bad bone in his body. So it's just ridiculous, honestly. Michael Christian, I've said enough about him, but yeah, they need to change the system.
I actually saw a video recently. I came across it and I'm like, I'm going to save this video because I reckon it's going to be useful. It was a video of a guy who was, I don't know where he was. It sort of looked like a trampoline place, when you go and you jump on the trampolines.
Oh, yep.
And he was basically practicing being shot in the head. It's quite funny.
I've seen that. Like the stunt.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I've seen that one. That's so cool.
And I was going to save it. I'm like, I reckon this would be... I reckon this would be useful in footy because someone's going to pretend to get. Oh, got it.
Oh, you found it good.
Stand by.
It's so good.
This is Jack Bowes, man. I mean, serious. This is actually brilliant. Hang on a minute. Let's have a look here. So, headshot montage. A guy practicing, pretending to have a headshot. Let's just rip.
Oh, there's Jack Bowes.
What are we doing here, mate?
You reckon this has to you reckon coaches are using this as a bit of tactics?
Surely.
That was a classic.
Anyway,
someone in the comments there made a really good comment about Dangerfield, that tackle from Wieders, and then Dangerfield just flops and throws his arm out to try and draw a free kick. Oh.
Then I got Chris Scott telling me that his players just played bad. Yeah, right.
They shot themselves in the foot. They tripped themselves up. They tripped over their own shoelace virtually. That's what he's saying.
So I'll tell you all right now, if the Blues challenge, we will be going to the tribunal stream for the first time in 2025.
Yes.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Well worth it. Well worth it. Because that's going to be hysterical. When I saw that vision, I was like, get Papa O'Farrell on the phone to do his handiwork again.
Yeah.
It'll be in and out within 5 minutes.
Joe's going crazy here. Have I not mentioned what? Mention the Dangerfield and Jack Silvani thing. What about it, bro? What am I mentioning? That it happened? What is he? I don't understand. What do you want, mate?
I don't.
Mention Dangerfield and Jack Silvani. Okay, so Jack's broken his hand, punching each other. Okay. Did you see them? Yeah, I mean,
is that right?
How'd they not get a week? Well, I don't think they punched each other properly. I think they were just wrestling. I don't know. I didn't look at that as I didn't look at that as I think it was just clumsy from both. It's just I didn't see punches personally. I haven't seen footage unless there's footage that's emerged that I've missed.
I'm oblivious. I had no idea that. I saw news that Jack's apparently broken his hand. He might be out for a week or two. But didn't know it came off the back of a little fracas with Danger.
Yeah. Well, they were definitely going at it in the first quarter, and just unlucky. Just another player that Dangerfield is involved with. Another Carlton player that Dangerfield is involved with when it comes to an injury. So that is that.
Yeah.
All right. Geez, we're flying here. We've got 10 minutes.
Oh, very nice.
10 minutes to go. All right. Belief levels. What are your belief levels right now? Are you back on board? Is it real? Are we back?
Well, being a lifelong Carlton Nuffy, I've seen too many times where, you almost feel as though the belief is restocked. The levels are back up again, and then they knock you back down again. So I'm not getting my hopes up, but from what we've seen, it's pleasing. Like I said, we've been building. We've faced a couple of minnows. We've used that as an opportunity to work on deficiencies, get back to basics without fear of getting cut to ribbons. If we're trying to try things against the likes of a Brisbane or something, but it's big that we actually were able to execute it against the Cats. They're a pretty decent team, even if Chris Scott says that they weren't on the day. But yeah, I think belief levels, they are building. They're building again. I don't think I'm not at the point where I think that we can still. I don't want to count us out of anything, but I wouldn't say that we're in flag contending form. If we carry forward what we saw against the Cats, North Melbourne, that is kind of a one step towards building something great potentially. It's a good thing that the competition is quite still close. We're a game outside. I think it's our fourth position. So there's a game separating Hawthorn and us. We've got a pretty healthy percentage, 122.4. So that's a good thing to have in the back pocket. But yeah, I think I'm very much like the players, that their confidence is building, their belief is building. So I think mine is building with it, without getting too ahead of myself or expectations of the team. So it's going well. It's better than what it was. Let's say that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not fully a believer just yet.
Not a believer.
I'm not a believer. I am just thoroughly enjoying this week while it's here.
Yeah, exactly.
However, if we go on and beat the Crows, come back, beat the Saints, go to Sydney, do a job, mate, the Kool-Aid, and maybe not the over the top, because I think I'll be honest, I think I'll always have Richmond in the back of my mind for this year. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's actually a good thing for someone like me who just looks for any reason to jump on board of, maybe it's blind faith, maybe it's a little bit over the top, maybe it's silly, but I just love it, man. Fuck it. Yeah. Gavin's right. You got to enjoy it while it's here, because it could be grim next week. It could not be.
Exactly. My wife's actually tuned in, who's also a fellow bag and nuffy, Ash Jackman. She said, cautious optimism, been burnt too many times before. So we're of the same mindset there, which is good. Good to see that she's not getting ahead of herself, and we're staying grounded. That's the main thing.
Is she here? Have I missed her comment? Is she here?
She is. She is. Yep, that's it.
She goes, hello, Ashley Jackman.
But it seems that like everyone in the comments is very similar.
Yeah. Rowan, I'm sorry, mate. I'm just so excited. But, mate, we've got the team show coming up, live streams throughout the week. We'll preview the match. Don't worry. We'll get there. I'm just trying to enjoy it. But this is the reality. We are a game out. Yep. We're a game out of this little bracket here. And so with that, I want to turn the focus to Adelaide and reveal the thumbnail for the week and get your thoughts about this week. What are your thoughts about Adelaide this week?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because, Adelaide started the season in some pretty good form. And, a lot was spoken about their three-headed Medusa, dragon, whatever you want to call it, with Phil Thorpe, Tex Walker and Fogarty. Might work in our favour now, because I think it's come out that Phil Thorpe may have a busted finger or something. So I don't know if that's going to keep him out. Mitch Hinge, I think, is out suspended from memory, so that helps. He's a key cog in their defence. So there's a couple of things already before the first siren even sounds going in our favour. So yeah, like in terms of form as well, they've won one of their past four as well, and that being against the Giants, which was a very low-scoring affair. It was a shit of a game to watch. And lost to the Cats, lost to the Suns, and then most recently lost to Freo. So I think they are gettable. I don't know. I can't recall what our form line is like at Adelaide when we are facing them, not facing the Eagles, of course.
It's not great. I'm just scrolling on Twitter while you're talking. I wanted to see if I could find something on Phil Thorpe. 5 hours ago, Jake Saligo had a quote saying he's confident that Phil Thorpe and Fogarty will be available.
Oh,
He
okay.
said, I saw him, Phil Thorpe, yesterday, and he seems to be fine. It looked pretty gross on the bench, but as it stands, he should be okay for the weekend, which that's not great news.
Yeah.
Because he's in really good form. There is a press conference about it, so maybe I'll need to go watch that. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be missing Silvani and Zach Williams, and at this stage, Adam Chera. So what would you do?
Well, I think Youngie probably earns his reprieve. He was very unlucky. I mean, we might have to change up the structure. I mean, Young has looked probably better up forward for us than he has been in defence, but he might be required down in defence at this stage. Do we bring Cowan back in? I don't know how he performed on the weekend in the VFL. I don't know if he blew people's socks off. I don't know
Not
if you've
really.
seen anything, Tez, but
it was like it was so and so.
Yeah, just return to the grass. Yeah. Yep, have a bit of a run. I did see Doherty. He had 27 disposals and was one of the better players. So maybe he comes in potentially for Williams, plays more of a high half forward role, which he's done in the past. But yeah, I think Young is probably the definite in if Sauce is gone. And if Ches doesn't get up, now surely that he gets off on that, but it is the AFL after all, on the tribunal, MRO, Chook Lotto. So just don't know. But if he doesn't get off, who comes in? Does Lord get a bit of a upgrade from sub, which I think he probably should anyway? He's been showing some pretty good form.
Well, this was the chat we had with Pommy on the ratings. If Chera doesn't play for whatever reason, if he's actually suspended, then there is that opportunity there to put some faith in Cooper Lord and play a similar role, like get right in there, in and under, and do a job there. I mean, Elijah's now stepped back into the team, playing midfield minutes. So I'm with you on that. Lewis Young, I've liked what Lewis Young has done this year. So he's no Jack Silvani, he's a different player, but I think Lewis Young has come in and shown an appetite for contest. I know he's played forward, but I think he can bring those attributes as a defender, and he's also got some really nice height about him as well. And Phil Thorpe's a big boy. Suggestion here, like Ben Camporelli could be Camporelli. I actually, for the first time watching the VFL, I really liked Jackson Binns' game. I liked what I saw from Jackson Binns. Yeah, some clean play.
What was he like? I mean, because I'm a big fan of him as well, but the one thing that always lets him down is his disposal. Hopefully he can iron that out. But he can find the footy. That's the thing, and get in the right positions. He, can run all day. He's good. But yeah, I don't know. He's worth, I think, a reprieve to some extent.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I mean, so for context, I watched 80% of the first half, and then I watched the last 10 to 15 minutes of the fourth quarter. And in what I did watch, I saw Ashton Moyer's brilliance in the moments that he was there. I saw some really nice inside 50s from Jackson Binns. And I saw, to be fair, I didn't think Doc started very well at all, but gets a lot of the ball because he's just an experienced head. But his last 10 minutes, I thought he really lifted and showed leadership. And yeah, I don't know if it's enough to play next week. It might have to be because Williams is out and there's a few others. So we'll see.
Someone mentioned there as well, do we play Pito? Shane Matthews it is. Do we play Pito / TDK, duo ruck maybe? TDK could play as an extra tall down back. He'd be all right for height, but I don't know his defensive capabilities, especially...
TDK? Oh.
Yeah, TDK playing down back and then playing Pito on the ruck, I think he's alluding to, with a bit of a swing.
Hey, man, anything's possible. Richmond beat us being down by 41. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have thought of De Koning playing down back personally. Nah. Yeah.
I think Young is probably the like for like. How good was Young as well, by the way? I mean, he was very unlucky to lose his spot, obviously, but he was ultimately, warming the seat until H returned. But he had so many good things, like second and third efforts. was a bit of play on the wing against North where he like knocked on the ball. I think it was to Georgie Hewitt. And without that knock on and that second and third effort, we wouldn't have got, because it resulted in a goal. And I was just like, this is incredible. Like, that's what I love to see from players as well. Like, of his ilk, that he probably isn't the most talented and probably one of those confidence players as well. Cops a lot of shit, but yeah, he's actually a really good player. When it comes down to brass tacks, he with effort, you can't fault that. So yeah, that's one thing you'll be.
I've enjoyed what I've seen from him to start the year. So yeah. What else, mate? Any other final thoughts before we wrap up and move on to the Almost Blues brothers?
Yes. No, I mean, we've spoken about it, like Sauce, Lige, H, Haynes, Charlie. It was good to see as well, like both of those boys playing well in their own right as well. Just will say, like H and Charles, like they kind of have a tendency to get in each other's way, as we know, can be a bit of a downfall. But I thought the way that they both played was really good. They were positioned nicely, and yeah, weren't on the same flight path in basic terms.
Yeah. What are your plans for Saturday afternoon?
Probably just settle in, watch the game. Nothing too strenuous, and then look forward to the next game, which is going to be interesting against the. Don't want to forecast too far ahead, but the game against St Kilda. If we can knock off the Crows on their home deck, and then St Kilda, thankfully, is at on our home deck, our traditional home deck at the MCG, as opposed to Marvel, where we always play St Kilda. Who knows? It might be echoes of 2023, but maybe that's my belief seducing me.
Do you have the same fear of Adelaide in Adelaide as what you may have 2 years ago?
Well, we've kind of done a little bit of a number on Port, haven't we, in recent times over there?
Well, that's kind of what I mean. I don't. I mean, we haven't beaten the Crows at Adelaide Oval yet. I understand, but I'd like to think that we've matured from the when did we play Adelaide over there? It might have been end of 2023. No, sorry, it was end of 2020. Sorry, it was Gather Round 2023 maybe, and then it was end of 2022, where both times they just jumped us up by 40, whatever it was. I'd like to think we have matured from that point.
Yeah. And what we've been experiencing and trudging through in the early parts of this season, probably in, looking at the positive side of things, has probably held us in good stead, that we've almost been to the bottom, like mentally, like losing to Richmond, and we've worked our way back. Like you mentioned earlier, that's probably a good thing to have in the back of our mind, that from a positive side of things is that you probably can't get any lower than that. We've experienced that, and that's kind of what can happen when we drop away. And now we've gone back to setting this standard that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, that if we can just keep applying it, defensively, we've looked really, really good, probably one of the better defensive teams in the competition. And it's just that offensive side of the game that we've needed to fix. With that, pressure everything else, and it's been almost like the perfect mix, just sprinkling it in to the big pot, stir it through, and we get some wins. So I'm probably a little bit more bullish. If we're facing Adelaide, who were rampaging like when they first started the season and looked really good, I'd be more worried. But I think that in combination with our uptick in form, I'm a little bit more confident, without being overconfident, I will say.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we will preview the game at length over the week. Got to move our attention there pretty quickly now. We don't get to bask in the glory of Geelong, but that's okay. Mate, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your time.
Absolute pleasure. No worries. Thank you, Tess. It's always a pleasure to help you out and jump on, even on the fan cams, which I've featured on a couple of times. It's always very cathartic, as we know, especially when we're not getting the dubs. But yeah, to jump on and have a bit of a extended yarn with yourself about the team, the club that we know and love. Is always a pleasure, mate. And you're one of the more insightful, more level-headed supporters. I like to think of myself as being one of those. Maybe at times I can let loose, but yeah, it's always a pleasure to tune into your content, mate.
I think I'm batshit crazy, if I'm honest.
People would probably say the same thing about me, but because we're of the same side of the fence, call it for what it is.
I've actually had. I was thinking about it the last couple of days. I'm like, oh, did I go a little too hard in the first month? It's like, no, man, they were disconnected. Like, no, they were disconnected out there. I promise.
I must admit as well that what review was it after? It was
Collingwood.
It was Collingwood. Yeah, that mic drop at the end.
It was venom.
Wow, that was incredible. But I sided with you 100%. Like we've spoken about this as well. Like my time at the club, being in the four walls, and it's similar to what we've spoken about. And hopefully the tide is turning. Hopefully, especially in that area. That's
a great way to end. I think at the end of the day, the best case scenario is, all right, there was a problem, there is a problem, whatever, identify it, fix it.
Yep.
You know?
Exactly. That's all you can ask for. And
win a flag.
Exactly. That's all we want. Win a flag. And have a bottle of wine as well afterwards.
Exactly, mate.
Yeah. I know. Right. I forget what the brand is. Their branding isn't
Penfold?
working on me. Penfolds, that's the one. Sorry. Enjoy Penfolds afterwards. So you can have both. Yeah. You can do both, can't you? Win flags.
Yeah.
Do that side of it.
What's your schedule this week on the channel?
So just the usual, just preview and then a review after that as well. Yeah, so you can feel free to check it out. If you need some more Nuffy content, feel free. No worries.
Blue Baggers Edge. Where are we at? Blue Baggers Edge. He's here. Guys, if you want to get through another YouTube channel right there, Blue Baggers Edge. Thank you very much, mate. Also,
thank you, Tez.
2 more things. The 1999 All-Australian tracksuit is up for giveaway.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It's going to be done. I'm going to create the raffle link shortly. Tomorrow it'll come out, and then I'm going to draw it the week of the St Kilda game. So keep a lookout for that. That is the rarest item I've ever had my hands on.
Right, how'd you get your hands on that? Bit of a gift?
I was very lucky and fortunate. So Ben Silvani reached out to me early last year, and he had a bunch of stuff that they were moving house, and just a bunch of stuff from Steve's old playing days, and this rug, which used to be in his bedroom, Ben's bedroom. So they were going to throw it out, and he's like, "Oh, I feel like you would, get use out of it." And I'm like, "Mate, give me this damn rug for sure." So yeah, but I'm basically collecting shit everywhere. I don't like. There's so many items around me that it's just I don't need it. I really.
You need to put on a rack, Tez, and just put it like wheel it in behind you so people can see all the memorabilia, all the goods you've got.
I'm not too much of a collector of things. I have the channel. The channel's everything I need.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's your collection. Yeah, that's a glass cabinet filled with all the dreams and memories that you've created across the years. So that's all you need. But I've actually got the best I've got is a worn playing jumper of Jed Lamb. When I was working at the club, people, they're just throwing out things, and I'm like, "Oh, Jed Lamb, okay, that's no worries." Probably needs a wash, and it's stored somewhere in a bag in my cabinet behind me. But yeah, if you want to throw that in the mix, feel free if anyone's keen for that.
Yeah, we'll do it when we play Hawthorn next. The Jed Lamb, game.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. Almost Blues Brothers is starting straight after this, so stay tuned. Good night. Go Blues.
Pleasure. Thanks, Tez.